Hello guys, in today's video we are going to start with a new topic, classification of elements and periodicity in properties. So what is the need for classification of elements? Before the beginning of 18th century, only a few elements were known. Therefore it was quite easy to study and remember the properties of these elements. But gradually this number went on increasing. Then it became rather difficult to study individually the chemistry of these elements and millions of their compounds. At this stage, scientists felt the need of some simple method to simplify and systematize the study of the properties of various elements and their compounds. This necessity led to the classification of various elements into different groups. We know every element is different from every other element. Yet, some elements have certain similarities. They resemble each other in certain properties. Based upon these similarities, the scientists, after numerous attempts, they successfully arranged the various elements into groups or families in such a way that similar elements were grouped together and dissimilar elements were separated from one another. This arrangement of elements is called classification of elements, and this led to the formulation of periodic table. So in this video we are going to see the historical development in the periodic table and how the atomic number and the modern periodic table that we are using now are related, and the nomenclature of elements with atomic number greater than 100. So first let's define the periodic table. Periodic table is defined as the table which classifies all the known elements in accordance with their properties in such a way that elements with similar properties are grouped together in the same vertical column and dissimilar elements are separated from one another. So when you look into the periodic table, you can see the classification of all the known elements in accordance with their properties, so that elements with similar properties are grouped in the same vertical column. So in a vertical column all the similar elements will be arranged. At present there are 118 elements on the periodic table. These 4 elements with the atomic number 113 called as nihonium, 115 called as Muscovy, 117 Tennyson, 118 oganesson. These 4 elements were recently added in the year 2016 to the periodic table. So we have totally 118 elements. So now we will move on to the historical development in the periodic table. How different scientists tried their best to arrange the known elements in a simple way. We learned in the first chapter that in 1808 John Dalton proposed his atomic theory. According to his theory, atoms of one element can be distinguished from the other on the basis of their atomic weights. So all earlier attempts on the classification of the elements were based upon their atomic weights. So the first attempt towards the classification of elements was made by J. Dobereiner in the year 1817. So what Dobereiner did, he arranged similar elements in groups of 3 and showed that the atomic weights are either nearly the same or the atomic weights of the middle element is approximately the arithmetic mean of the other 2. For example, you see this is a group of 3 elements, again a group of 3 elements. Here lithium, sodium and potassium. He grouped these 3 elements and he said the atomic weight of lithium and the atomic weight of potassium. If you take the arithmetic mean, which means you are going to add this 7 with 39 and divide by 2, you will get the atomic weight of the middle element. See, 7 plus 39 by 2 will give you 23. So this group of elements are called as Dobereiner's triads. Tri means 3. So he grouped the elements into 3 in such a way that the arithmetic mean of the first and the third element's atomic weight will be equal to the atomic weight of the middle element, or the atomic weights will be nearly same. See, for in this example the atomic weights 55.85, 58.93, 58.7, they are almost similar. So either in this way or in this way he grouped the elements in a group of 3, so we call that as Doberanus triads. Same way, this is also a triad. If you add this atomic number and this and divided by 2, you will get Bromin's atomic weight. So all the earlier classification attempts were made up was based upon atomic weights, not on atomic number, because people were not aware of atomic numbers. So all these classifications were based on atomic weights. But the major drawback of Doberanus triads was it could not be applied to all the elements. It could be applied only to limited elements. And the next attempt was made by John Newland in the year 1865 to 66. And this method is called as Newland's law of octaves, and again this is also based on the atomic weights of elements. What Newland did was he arranged the elements in the order of their increasing atomic weights. He noticed similarity. When he arrange the elements in order of their increasing atomic weights, the properties of every 8th element are similar to the first one, like the 8th note of a musical scale. So if you take a musical scale, it goes like this: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So first note and the 8th note will be similar. Same way, he arranged elements in such a way that the first element has the similar properties of the 8th element. Now look at this example. This is serial number. This is not atomic weight or number. This is serial number. This is the element. See, first element, second element, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh element, and this is the 8th element. So the first element and the 8th element, they have the similar properties. Same way, see in the second row, this is the first element, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and the 8th element is potassium. So the 8th element resemble the first element. So this 8th element resemble the first element. So all the similar elements were grouped together. So this was the method of classification of Newland based on law of octaves. The major drawback of Newland's method was it could not be applied to elements having atomic weights greater than calcium, that is 40 atomic mass units. He was able to arrange the elements till calcium, but this could not be applied for elements above calcium. Same way, after noble gases were discovered, properties of 8th element were no longer similar to the first element. He could not arrange it in that way. When the noble gases were discovered, when he tried to arrange that, no longer the 8th element resembled the first element. So Newland's law of octaves was a failure. And the next attempt was made by Lothar-Meyer, and this was done by Lothar-Meyer in the year 1869. He studied the physical properties of elements such as atomic volume, melting point and boiling points of various elements. After studying their properties, he plotted a graph between atomic volume and atomic weights of the elements. So he took atomic weight in the x-axis and atomic volume of the elements in the y-axis, and he got a graphs like this. He observed that the elements with similar properties occupied similar positions. For example, when you look at this graph, it has peaks, it has ascending positions, it has descending positions. When he plotted the atomic weight versus atomic volume, the peaks on the curve, so these are the peaks on the curve, it was occupied by strongly electropositive alkali metals like lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. They occupied the peaks of the curve. Same way, the less strongly electropositive alkaline earth metals, they occupied the descending position of the curves. So this is the curve, this is the descending position. See, this is the descending position, this is the ascending position. So alkaline earth metals which are less strongly electropositive like beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium and barium, it occupied the descending positions on the curve. And the same way, the most electronegative elements, you will be learning about this electronegativity and electropositivity in the upcoming videos. So the most electronegative elements like fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine, they occupy the ascending positions of the curve. So So based on these observations, Lodemeyer proposed that the properties of elements depends upon their atomic weights. So he arranged all the known elements in a tabular form in the increasing order of their atomic weights. The same research was done by Mendeleev at the same time of Lodemeyer. They both worked independently and they reported very similar results. But the credit for designing the periodic table is usually given to Mendeleev because he was the first to fully recognize the significance of repetition of properties of elements when they are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic weights. So now we will move on to Mendeleev's periodic table. Dmitry Mendeleev in 1869 he used a broader range of physical and chemical properties to classify the elements. He studied the empirical formula and the similarities in the empirical formula and properties of the compounds formed by each elements. On the basis of these similarities, Mendeleev proposed his periodic law. It states that the physical and chemical properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic weights. That is, when the elements are arranged in order of their increasing atomic weights, elements with similar properties are repeated after certain regular intervals. So Mendeleev arranged the known elements. Nearly 63 elements were known when Mendeleev tried to arrange them in the periodic table. He arranged these elements in order of their increasing atomic weights, grouping together elements with similar properties. For example, if you represent the alphabet R as the element, if you treat potassium, rubidium and cesium with oxygen, they form oxides of the type R2O. Same way, magnesium, calcium and strontium will form RO type of oxides. So based on these chemical properties, he grouped the elements with similar properties under one column. So like this, when Mendeleev arranged all the elements with similar properties, he even left out blank spaces wherever necessary. He also made a bold prediction that there were some unknown elements which of course would be discovered in due course of time and would fill these blank spaces. He even predicted their properties in the light of the properties of other elements in the same group. Later on, these unknown elements were discovered and were found to possess exactly the same properties as predicted by Mendeleev. For example, both gallium and germanium were not known at the time Mendeleev proposed his periodic table. So Mendeleev named these elements as Eka aluminium and Eka silicon because he believed that these elements would be similar to aluminium and silicon respectively. These elements were discovered later and Mendeleev's predictions were found to be remarkably correct. For example, the properties of Eka silicon as predicted by Mendeleev and the properties of germanium were found to be similar, which you can see in a tabular column given in your textbook. So after arranging these elements in a periodic table, that table consists of 8 vertical columns called as groups and 6 horizontal rows called as series. Columns means it will be like this, rows means like this. So in Mendeleev's periodic table, we have 8 vertical columns called groups and 6 horizontal rows called series. Let's not go deep into the periodic table and the numbering of the groups because we no longer use Mendeleev's periodic table. We are using modern periodic table. So this is enough about Mendeleev's periodic table. Now let's see the significance of Mendeleev's periodic table. The first significance is the Mendeleev's periodic table simplified and systematized the study of the elements and their compounds since their properties could now be studied as groups or families rather than individuals. So knowing the properties of one element in a group, the properties of the other elements in the group can easily predicted. So this table helped in the systematic study of the elements. And the second significance of Mendeleev's periodic table is the prediction of new elements. As I just told you, we were able to predict the properties of these unknown elements on the basis of their positions. Just like I told about Eka aluminium and Eka silicon. Eka aluminium is gallium, Eka silicon is germanium. So Mendeleev's table helped to predict the unknown elements. And the last significance of Mendeleev's periodic table, it helped to correct the doubtful atomic weights. For example, beryllium was assigned an atomic weight 13.5 on the basis of its equivalent weight and valency, because the valency was wrongly calculated as 3. If beryllium has an atomic weight of 13.5, it should be placed between carbon and nitrogen. Because carbon's atomic weight is 12, nitrogen is 14. So beryllium with 13.5 should be coming between carbon and nitrogen. But no vacant place was available between carbon and nitrogen. And moreover, the properties of beryllium was not similar to carbon or nitrogen. Therefore, valency 2 was assigned to beryllium, which gave it an atomic weight of 4.5. Because atomic weight is equal to equivalent weight into valency, and the equivalent weight of beryllium was 4.5. So when it is multiplied by the valency 2, it gave you the number 9. So now the atomic weight of beryllium is 9, and then beryllium was placed in its proper position between lithium and boron. Lithium atomic weight 7, boron's atomic weight is 11. So this Mendeleev's periodic table helped in the correction of doubtful atomic weights. And now the defects of Mendeleev's periodic table. The main defect was anomalous pair of elements. Some elements with higher atomic weight precede the elements with lower atomic weight. For example, argon, whose atomic weight is 39.9, it comes before potassium, whose atomic weight is 39.1. So these were anomalous pairs of elements which could not be justified. He could not provide any justification for this arrangement, because actually elements were arranged in the increasing order of their atomic weights, but based on their properties, when Mendeleev tried to arrange, some elements come before the lower atomic weight. So he could not explain that. And the second defect in Mendeleev's periodic table is position of isotopes. So what are isotopes? Isotopes are the atoms of the same element having different atomic weights. So according to Mendeleev's classification, there should be a place given for these isotopes in the periodic table, and they should be given different places. But isotopes of an element have not been given different places in the periodic table. And the last defect of Mendeleev's table was dissimilar elements, they were grouped together, and similar elements were put in different groups. For example, alkali metals like lithium, sodium, potassium are grouped together with coinage metals like copper, silver and gold, though their properties are quite different. At the same time, chemically similar elements like copper, mercury, they were placed in different groups. If you look into the Mendeleev periodic table given in your textbook, you will have an idea how these elements are grouped. Look, this is Mendeleev's periodic table. Now see, lithium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, along with that gold is grouped here. But gold has different property when compared to lithium, sodium and potassium. So Mendeleev could not explain such arrangement. So Mendeleev's periodic table was not 100% successful, but yet it was used. Later in 1912, Moseley, an English physicist, he did a discovery. When you hit a metal with high-speed electrons, X-rays are emitted by that metal. So we have studied different radiations have different wavelengths and frequency. When you measure the frequency of the X-rays emitted, Moseley discovered that the square root of the frequency of the X-rays emitted by a metal was proportional to the atomic number and not to the atomic weight of the atom of the metal. So he plotted a graph between square root of frequency and the atomic number. he got a straight line. So this led to Moseley to conclude that atomic number was a better fundamental property of an element than its atomic weight. So he suggested the atomic number instead of atomic weight should be the basis of classification of elements. That forms the basis of modern periodic law. So according to modern periodic law, the physical and chemical properties of the elements are a periodic function of their atomic numbers, not atomic weights, as in Mendeleev's periodic law. So how to justify this? Why the physical and chemical properties of the elements are a periodic function of their atomic numbers? We know that an atom consists of a nucleus which contains protons and neutrons surrounded by electrons. Atomic mass is a nuclear property. It depends upon the number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus, whereas atomic number tells the number of electrons in the extranuclear part in the nucleus. How many protons are there? So this number gives you the number of electrons in the extranuclear part and the number of protons in the nucleus. Now the chemical properties of the elements depend upon the number of electrons. So we can say the physical and chemical properties of the elements depend upon their atomic numbers rather than the atomic masses. So it is understood that the physical and chemical properties of elements could be different depending upon the number of electrons and their electronic configuration in an atom. So in a modern periodic table, we have 7 horizontal rows called periods and 18 vertical columns called groups. And we will be learning in the upcoming videos why we have 7 periods and 18 groups in the modern periodic table, and in detail about the properties of the elements arranged in this periodic table. So before we finish off this video, I want to teach you the IUPAC nomenclature of elements having atomic numbers greater than 100. As I told you already, we have 118 elements in the periodic table currently. Although the names and symbols to many of these elements have been assigned, but these are not universally accepted, because some of the elements have 2 names. They have been assigned 2 names. For example, element with atomic number 104 is called Rutherfordium or Kurchatovium, while element with Z is equal to 107 is called Niels bohrium or simply borium. So to overcome all these difficulties, the IUPAC commission, actually IUPAC appointed a commission on nomenclature to suggest a rational system of nomenclature of elements with atomic number greater than 100. So based on that, when the digit is 0, we have a name nil and the abbreviation is small n. When the digit is 1, it is U and un and the abbreviation is U. When the digit is 2, it is called as bi and the abbreviation is small b. Same way, 3 tri T, 4 quad Q, 5 pent P and 6 hex H, 7 sept S and 8 oct O and 9 N E. Now let's use this nomenclature and try to name the elements with atomic numbers greater than 100. Remember these names. For 0 it's nil, 1 un, 2 bi and it goes on. Now see, now the atomic number of the element is 101. For 1 the IUPAC name is un. For 0 the IUPAC name is nil. See, nil. And again for 1 it is un. So the name is un, nil, un. In the end you have to add IUM, un, nil, unnium. And you have to write all the first letters as the symbol. First letter should be capital and the other should be small. See, for un the first letter is U, for nil the first letter is N, and again for un it is U. So U, N, U is the symbol of the atomic number 101. And for atomic number 102, 1 is named as un, 0 is nil and 2 is bi. Un, nil, bm. 105, I have not written 104, 103, I have just shuffled and written so that you can understand the different names that we use. And the missing atomic numbers, you find out and you try to name that. Now 105, un, nil, pentium. UNP is the symbol. 109 unnil N, Nnium, because for 9 it is N, unnil Nnium. So 110 unnilium, 113 untrium, 115 unpentium. For U is the first letter, for again U is the first letter, and pentium P. So UUP is the symbol. And same way for 118 octium, UUO is the symbol. And 117 septium, 7 is called as sept. Memorize these names. So septium, UUS is the abbreviation symbol. You find out from 101 to 118 any atomic number is missing here. You try to name the element with IUPAC nomenclature and their symbol. Thank you.